As you can tell, we're trying to do something really different tonight. We have never done this before. One of our candidates is out of town, and she really wanted to be here. And so we invited her to join by Zoom, since we have technology.
There you go.
This may or may not work, but we're going to try it. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this forum for the Portage County Supervisors for District 8, 9, 10, 12, and 14. My name is Sue Buck, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of the Stevens Point area, and I will be moderator of this forum. The League of Women Voters is a political but nonpartisan organization. The League's primary purpose is to encourage voting by registering voters, providing voter information, and advocating for voters' rights. Tonight's event is part of providing voter information through candidates sharing their views of issues of concern to Portage County residents. The co-sponsors of this forum are the Stevens Point Area Senior High Student Senate, the UWSP Student Government Association, and the Portage County Business Council. All are also nonpartisan organizations with no endorsement of candidates or political parties. Their interest is helping local citizens to be more informed voters. The county supervisors are responsible for the leadership and coordination of the work of the Portage County government, providing services to more than 70,468 residents and the 27 municipalities of the county. These services include highway, parks and trail systems, and protecting the public through the public safety departments. The county also provides services to children, elderly, disabled citizens through Health and Human Services Department, the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and the Division of Public Health. It is the mission of Portage County government to enhance the quality of life for all its residents by providing fiscally responsible services that enable citizens to build productive communities, families, and lives. The 2024 budget for Portage County is $134,725,015. The Portage County Board meets the third Tuesdays of the month at 5 p.m. County committees meet throughout the month, and there are 42 county-related committees. The 25-member County Board of Supervisors are elected every 2 years on even years and serve a 2-year term starting in April. County supervisors receive a $59.25 per diem plus mileage of 67 cents for county board meetings they attend. Supervisors receive $53.86 per diem plus mileage for attending committee meetings with a maximum of 2 meetings per diems per day. And committee chairs receive $68.86 per committee meeting plus mileage. County supervisors also receive $59.25 per diem plus mileage for attending the Wisconsin Counties Association Conference, Portage County being a member of that association. We appreciate the candidates running for District 8, District 9, District 10, 12, and District 14 who are participating this evening. The candidates for District 8 are Joan Honnell and Johnny Chula. Candidates for District 9 are Andrew Rockman and David Ideen. Candidates for District 10 are Barb Gifford and Mary Rosicki. Candidates for District 12 are Karen Sieg and Michael Splinter. And for candidates for District 14 are Chris Randazzo and Pat Keller. Johnny Chula was not able to participate this evening because of a family commitment. And as you can see, Karen is joining us by Zoom. To provide the most time to hear from the candidates and to provide fair and equal opportunity to answer questions important to you and this community, I will review the format, time, and terms for this forum, and this has already been reviewed with the candidates. Each candidate will have first 1.5 minutes to introduce themselves and make an opening statement, and then they will have 1.5 minutes to respond to questions, and I will repeat the question if necessary. Candidates will respond first to some questions submitted by the forum sponsors and then questions from the audience. Questions from the audience must be addressed to all candidates. If you want to submit a question, please motion to one of the ushers. They're along the sides over here. They have cards, index cards, and pencils, and you can write your card down and question down on the cards and turn them in, and we will review them. The League reserves the right to review and screen questions for relevance and to avoid duplication. We have 2 timers, in front of the candidates. A green folder will be held up when their time starts. A yellow folder indicates 30 seconds remains, and a red folder means that time has expired. Candidates may finish their sentence and then please stop so the next candidate can begin their remarks. The remarks should be germane to the questions and fair to the participants. The moderator reserves the right to interrupt and to ensure these ground rules are observed. The order of response to each question will be rotated, and we will alternate which candidate answers the question first. The order of opening statements will be chosen by random drawing of the candidates' names. As I've already stated, participating in tonight's forum are Joan Honnell, Dave Iden, Andrew Rockman, Mary Rosicki, Bob Gifford, Michael Splinter, Karen Sieg, Pat Keller, and Chris Rendazzo. And now we will begin with a 1.5 minute opening statement from each candidate, and we use high tech here. And the first person is David. Is he here?
He's not.
Okay, he didn't make it?
No, Dad.
Okay, well, I guess he's not here. No, okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the name. Is that me? I'm sorry.
No, nope, sorry, Karen, no. Okay, so he wasn't able to make it after all. Okay, so we will go with Andrew Rockman. And I will give you the mic.
I thought as much.
Eat it.
Thank you, Sue, and thanks everybody else for coming out. I've never done anything like this before, and I think it's just a fantastic idea to get people together so you can directly get our opinions and our views on certain things. I mean, Thomas Jefferson was right when he said that a well-informed electorate is a prerequisite to democracy, and to that end, we're all here to do that. Sorry. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I can hear me. Give you a little information about myself without trying to sound like a Bumble profile. I've lived here my entire life. I've been working for Rockman's Catering for about 34 years now, and I can't picture a better place to have raised my daughter. I really don't have much other to say than that. I'm your current District 9 representative, and with their permission, I'd like to continue to serve the community. Thanks.
Okay.
Under the wire. Barely ran a job.
Bob Gifford.
Oh, that's me.
Go get him, Bob.
All right, this thing on. First of all, can you hear me all right? All right, good. Yeah, I'm Bob Gifford. Let me give you my background so you know where I'm coming from on a lot of questions. I came into politics through the labor movement. I was a contract negotiator, union steward, and later an organizer for United Electrical Workers. So my approach to politics is informed from coming up through the working class, and that's how I look at things today. I was working in heavy industry for a couple decades and doing industrial design in industry in Milwaukee. And I had always considered myself an environmentalist since Earth Day #1. And I decided to move up to this part of the state so that I could be part of organic agriculture and sustainability work and environmentalism in general. So that informs a lot of my thinking, decision-making, things I might say in the county board and so on. So that's me.
Mary Rosicki.
Pass it down.
I'm going to echo this. I've never done this before, so bear with me. Here we go. I've lived in Portage County my entire life. My first paid job was at age 10, babysitting the neighbors' children. I've had many other jobs since, the last being 41 years at Century Insurance. I attended many of the local schools, including UWSP, and graduated from Mid-State Technical College. I met the love of my life in Stevens Point at a local bar, as many of us have. Together, we raised 3 beautiful and successful children and have been blessed with 4 grandchildren. We feel we've been good stewards of the earth. We are very aware of nitrate problems in the water in Portage County, as we've used a reverse osmosis system at our home in the town of Hull for 20 years. We've participated in the UWSP water studies when asked. We use little or no fertilizer on our lawn and use sand instead of salt on the ice on the sidewalks and driveway. Our family has planted over 16,000 trees in Portage County since the year 2000. So there, the importance of trees, we're giving back. After retiring from Century and then retiring from working with my husband in his local small business in land surveying, I started paying more attention to politics, local, state, and national. I haven't always been happy with what I'm hearing, so instead of sitting on the sidelines complaining about things, I decided to get involved. This is my first time running for any public office. I look forward to representing the constituents of District 10 and helping to resolve the issues in Portage County. Thank you. Thank you.
Pat Keller.
Good evening, and thank you. I'm glad we have microphones. I'm a trained singer, so I could project my voice, but it's come to my attention that when I do, I sound crabby. I'm finishing my first term as the supervisor for District 14. In 2022, some friends contacted me after our supervisor passed away. He lost his battle to cancer. I can tell you it was the last thing in the world I ever considered doing, but I'm thrilled and I'm honored to have been on this board. You hear a lot of complaints, but there are a lot of good things that happen there. And most of the people on the board, and I'm sure in the boards preceding me, were very good people that loved living here as much as I do. I can tell you I moved here in 2008 after spending most of my life in the Madison area and then 2 long, miserable years in southern Indiana. And when that opportunity came to transfer back to Wisconsin, I jumped at it. Winter be damned. 2 weeks after buying my house, I met the love of my life. And I haven't looked back since. I just am here to say, vote, get your friends to vote, tell your kids to vote, and vote with your heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Honnell.
Hello, can you hear me? It's important. Okay. Thank you to the League for this opportunity. I too have not participated in a forum, but I'm learning a lot from the first group, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot from my colleagues. My biggest surprise when I ran for office the first time was how much time it takes to be a county supervisor. I'll be running for my 3rd term now. It was a surprise. The next biggest surprise that I had as a county supervisor is getting to know the county staff and the incredible group of people that we have that implement services paid by our tax money. They're phenomenal, and it's been such a great learning experience. My background is rehabilitation. I worked at Community Industries for 30 years as services director, and then I went into private rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is in my heart, and so when I approach problems in the community, I approach them from that perspective. And Portage County's been my home for 50 years, and I believe that most residents in this community are tolerant and that they value an enriching and diverse community life. I further believe that many citizens are charitable and they are concerned about the welfare of all. And finally, I believe that most people want to live in a safe and healthy environment.
All right, thank you. Karen, your turn. Karen Sieg.
She muted or?
Unmute yourself, Karen.
All right. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I thank you for the opportunity to do this remotely. I'm in Phoenix visiting my son and his family, and So it was a special trip that he had planned. Anyway, I'm Karen Stig, and I am running for the supervisor of District 12. I have been a resident of Portage County for over 40 years, and most of that time as a resident in Town Hall with District 12. I came here and went to college at the Stevens Point here with forestry and soils, and fell in love with this community and never wanted to leave. During the years that I've lived and worked here, I've worked for the departments, the parks and the health department. Not extensively long, but nonetheless. And then through my career with Recycling Connections, I have worked on behalf of Portage County. We had a long time different contracts with the county solid waste department, serving and/or representing them. And that also, through those experiences, gave me a lot of connections with a lot of other county departments and staff there as well. I want to share a little bit about my background with Recycling Connections. I'm sure many of you don't know that much about this nonprofit, but aside from working in Portage County, we have led, and part of my role as the executive director, have created oops, my time is up.
Yes, I'm glad you could see I'm glad you could see the folders, but thank you. Yes, your time is up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Chris Randazzo. I hope I'm saying that right.
Close enough. Hello. Is that too loud? Yeah, probably. Something I'm often too loud. My name is Chris Randazzo, and I'm running for Portage County Supervisor, District 14. My wife Amy and I have been homeowners in the village of Plover for 20 years, and I've owned and operated a local business in Portage County for 16. I have a degree in communications, a bachelor's degree in communication from UWSP, and spent 5 years working at the Portage County Gazette as a contributing editor. A little out of there, sorry. As a contributing editor, covering local government meetings. That experience gave me a nuts and bolts understanding of the function of local government and also the skills needed to cut through legalese and opinion to get to the core of the issue. I'm running for Portage County Supervisor because I believe it's the job of local government to serve its residents, and it's clear to me that the number of supervisors, my opponent included, don't agree with that. They've shown that by trying to sell the Portage County Healthcare Center despite strong community support to keep that facility county-owned, and by fast-tracking the purchase of a $1.2 million 40-acre parcel in the village of Plover for a jail, despite the fact they have no specific plans for a jail at that location, much less an approved plan. We need a change of government at the local level, and I'm willing to be part of that. I'm shaking a little here.
Thank you.
you.
And Mike Splinter.
Again, hopefully not last but not least, but I'm Mike Splinter. I have represented the 12th district in the town of Hull for 8 years. It's an honor for me to do that, to represent all 2,800 people in my district. I thank the League of Women Voters for the invitation, and when they said they're a nonpartisan group, they had me right there. This position on the county board is a nonpartisan position. We are elected to look at all sides of all issues. We're not one segment or another segment. We look at all issues before we make a final decision, and it should be based on common sense and what is in the best interest of Portage County. If it makes common sense and it's in the best interest of Portage County, you probably have my vote. If you miss on either one of those, you probably don't have my vote. I've lived in the county for 45 years, and I'll wrap up in 30 seconds here. And there's 3 priorities that I'm happy, 2 I'm happy with and 2 I'm not. 1 I'm not. The jail, I'm happy with how that's going. Remodeling the courthouse to get another 10, 20 years out of that, I'm happy with that. I'm not happy with the healthcare center activity about possibly selling it before the voters get a chance. I'm going to put an amendment on the floor on Tuesday to make sure that no sale is approved before November 10th of this year. And I want that referendum on the November vote, so you get a super majority of Portage County voters weighing in and giving us a mandate one way or another on the issue.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I went colorblind for a minute.
Thank you. We will now start with the questions. And I drew a name, and we start with Andrew Rockman, and then we will go make circles around. So we'll just follow each other. That's okay. So,
You want to go?
Andrew, you get the first question. Where do you see the role of the Groundwater Citizens Advisory Committee going forward, minus a current water resource specialist?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes. Where do you see the role of the Groundwater Citizens Advisory Committee going forward, minus a current water resource specialist?
Thank you again for the first crack. All committees, all groups, all interested parties in what's going on in Nelsonville, which incidentally should be declared a state emergency in my opinion, need to be involved. For those of you that were here in the last forum, Supervisor Moresi made a very, very poignant point about all hands being on deck for this problem. That committee included all the local farmer and agricultural interests need to be included. Obviously, the supervisors who have a mandate through the LawCon committee, that's redundant, through LawCon to provide and conserve our natural resources. There's no question about what we're supposed to be doing. There's plenty of people obstructing, and there's plenty of people trying to provide misinformation or just outright the denial of the science and the experts. And the loss of Jen McNally in particular is another win for those people who just simply don't want to pay the cost. That's really where we're at. As a food service guy, on my end of the food chain, whenever we learn something about our practices, we are expected to do right by those practices. And that is the cost of us doing business on that particular piece of the food chain that we've chosen. It's no different for agriculture, and it's no different for our citizens. We need to just simply do better about our groundwater. And yes, that particular committee or group needs to be involved, as does everyone.
Right, thank you. Mary Rozicki.
Thank you. Well, as I said before, groundwater is very important. Clean water is a must for everyone. It's a requirement. We've dealt in the town of Hull with high nitrates for years. We had to find our own solution. Now Portage County has set up a special committee. They had the groundwater specialist that's working with Nelsonville, which is wonderful, because when it happened to us, we were on our own. We had to figure it out. And it's important, as Andrew said, we need to work with the experts. We need to get farmers involved. We need to get local communities involved and the Board of Supervisors here as well, and do the best job we can to make sure everyone in the county has clean drinking water.
Okay. We're going to jump to Karen. Karen Sieg. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I did write it down.
Okay.
Yes, as far as the committee goes, well, I feel unfortunately we need to make some, maybe some bigger reorganizations and how our county deals with groundwater issues. My feeling is like I would hope we could, if possible, like change the environment where we could hire a new water specialist. But I feel that, again, we need to kind of get resident input and deal with it scientific way to have kind of in how this is addressed in our.
Okay, thank you. Mike Splinter.
I think the question was, how are we going to survive without Jen on the committee? And I don't know how. I hope that we get a good candidate to fill her shoes. This has been an emotional thing for me as I'm on the Land and Water Committee, and I observed some of the harassment, and I was the first to come up after the meeting and totally apologize to her for her treatment during that meeting. And on the county board floor, I said, the Land and Water Committee has a lot of emotion to it on both sides. And we need to look at both sides of the issue all the time. But when someone gets harassed in the field, that's the time that the chairman should step down. And I asked him to step down at that meeting to do the honorable thing. He didn't. If I get reelected and I get reappointed to the Land and Water Committee, I will be the ranking person on that committee to take over as chair, and I will actively seek the chairmanship of that committee so that we can get things back to a calm state where both sides of all issues are listened to, and we're not biased this way or that way. It just got out of hand, and I think a lot of it has to do with not getting enough training as chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Gifford.
Yeah, thanks for the question. With regard to the situation in Land and Water Committee, I was serving 2 terms on that committee, 4 years, and I grew more and more alarmed at the adversarial relationship that seemed to exist between citizens and committee. And the culmination of that is what Mr. Splinter just spoke to. Coming up through the labor movement, again, I would not dream of treating a worker, public worker, in that way. It just goes against all my values. As far as, let's find and hire the best professionals and let them do their jobs. That's my attitude about staff. Regarding water quality and agribusiness, we studied the natural step for sustainability when writing the Path to a Sustainable Stevens Point a decade ago. And one of the system conditions is that you don't have the buildup of man-made substances such as chemical nitrate in your environment and have a sustainable system. So what we have now is in vast need of change, and I'm hoping that we can move forward quickly in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. And Joan Honnell.
Thank you. I agree with much of what Mr. Gifford just had to say. I was as concerned about the board behavior when it came to the water specialist position and the lack of accountability for responding to citizen complaints. It's been years when a group of active citizens who live in Nelsonville have been coming to county meetings month after month and year after year asking for specific action. They did not get it. They were not heard. Citizen complaints that were filed were not paid attention to. And most recently, the county ordinances, which certainly do need to be improved, were not followed. I don't think we can get anywhere with groundwater until we have a renewed respect for the science involved, and we bring those responsible for the contamination to the table. This isn't something that just Portage County government can address. This isn't just something that private citizens can address. We have major forces in this community. Minnesota has them, Iowa has them, they're all over Wisconsin. When you have the kinds of agriculture and feeding operations that we have, we've got to work together to resolve this.
Thank you. Pat Keller.
Thank you. And the question was, how is the Land and Water Citizens Advisory Committee going to continue without a water specialist? So I'm going to actually try to answer that question. And the first thing we'll have to do is get a new water specialist. And they're working to do that now. I serve on the Ag and Extension Committee, and that is the department that that person reports to. I have not been involved with the Land and Water Committee except to attend meetings, and I've attended Citizens Advisory Committee meetings. The hard part about the water issue is, yes, we do have farmers that want to farm, and they've been doing so in this state for a long time. And produce and dairy products from this area are enjoyed around the world. We have a rich history and heritage in farming, so we have to keep that in mind. But yes, we do need clean water. But we can filter water. Guess what? The water you drink if you live in town is filtered, and it is in most cities. So we have to be open. The short-term solution is filtering water. The long-term solution is being worked on by the DNR, the universities, EPA, but nobody ever hears anything about any of that. That things are being done. It just takes a while. Thank you.
Okay, and Chris Randazzo.
We're really dealing with two separate issues when we talk about the committee and we talk about clean water, and they both got to be addressed. The first is the toxic environment that's been created, really, I think, by our board, but towards science, towards the community, towards people who want to be heard about the problems that they have. Clean water is a human right, and I think everyone in this room would agree with that we want clean water. But somehow, we never do anything about it. Somehow we talk about it, and that's something we're going to have to look at as a county. We have UWSP here, some of the best experts in the world to help us, and we don't listen to a word they say. We don't want to hear it. Maybe that's because we don't want to spend the money, and if that's the reality, then we should face that reality as a community and say that. It's true that we can filter the water, and it probably has to be the answer in the short term to filter the water so that everyone who lives in the county has clean water. And I will give the county credit for getting the money aside to do that. But if we're really going to address this, we have to address the source of the issue. And that is a huge issue. That's a state issue. Heck, it might be a federal issue. But maybe we can be a county that takes the step forward and addresses it and says, you know what, we're going to spend the money, we're going to tackle this, we're going to take it head on. I'd be proud to be in that county, and I'd love to find out if the support is here to do it.
Thank you. Our next question, and we'll start with Mary, and it's a two-parter.
Oh, boy. You better read it twice then.
I will. Do you support the sale of the Portage County home? And if you do support the sale, how do you justify selling it when 68% of the voters voted to keep it and pay for it?
Thank you. I do support the sale. I'm one of the people that voted and have repeatedly voted to pay for the county home. I have a different perspective now. The county home is bleeding money. I talked to Marcia McDonald. She's a lovely woman. She sounds like she's doing everything right. But apparently with Medicaid and Medicaid dollars, there's just not enough money there to keep it sustainable. I'm sorry, what was the second question?
If you do support the sale, how do you justify selling it when 68% of the voters voted to keep and pay for it?
Thank you. I think we need more facts. I know when I found out for myself that anybody that walks into Portage County can stay in the Portage County home, that shocked me. I thought that I had a privilege because I've been here my whole life paying for it. My family's been paying for it. And anybody can come in and use the facility, and that surprised me. Also, it surprised me that in order to keep the 5-star rating, our county looks at who's coming in. We have requests, I think it's about 75 a month coming in, and only 6 or 8 people get accepted into the county. So they get to pick and choose which patients come in. They don't take me because I'm a Portage County resident. If I've got a condition that they can't handle, I'll get passed over for somebody that's easier to take care of because they don't have the personnel and they don't have the means to take care of everybody. And I think we need to have some more honesty about what's really going on at the Portage County home.
Thank you. Karen, you're next.
All right, thank you. I do not support selling the Portage County home. Mainly though, I support our residents having good information and facts and make that decision. And I understand there were some reasons of why it didn't happen in previous times, but nonetheless, I also feel that there is still this push to maybe not have this be a county facility at all. And I want the residents to decide how their taxes are used. So that is why I really support having this referendum and letting residents and citizens decide. I addressed the idea of anybody can come to this facility if they're not a Portage County resident. For me, our lifestyle is we are expanding. Like I'm in Phoenix right now, this son, and we have our families are so diverse. If there is a family unit in the Stevens Point area that is want to take care of, let's say, the elderly parent, they have their roots, their jobs, their children, so basically the grandchildren, they should be able to have their beneficiary loved one come here. I don't know who's going to want to just come here to Stevens Point just because. I think, again, they would want to come because they have family and connections to this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Splinter.
Okay, this is a hot issue, and in fact, if you want to come to the Portage County Board of Director meeting on Tuesday, this is a resolution to continue talking to this potential buyer. I made a point in February that I did not want the referendum for the healthcare center on the April ballot because you've only got about an average of 16,000 people. I said you've got a chance once every 4 years to get a supermajority of people in Portage County weighing in on an issue. And that will happen in just a matter of 6 to 7 months. And I'm not happy with how the talks are going with this new owner. I've got lots of questions. And I will put forth an amendment to this resolution, this letter of intent, that nothing will be finalized with any sale prior to listening to the people after, I say, November 10th, which should be November 14th or 4th or 5th or something like that. But I want to hear from all the people in Portage County. In the past, the referendums have been, if you don't support the healthcare center, it's going to close. Now, people will get the idea that if you don't want to pay their taxes, there are people that are going to be lined up to buy it. And hopefully we can get more than one person interested in buying it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm not doing my
Bob
part.
Gifford.
Yeah, thank you.
Take too long.
You know, a couple of months ago on this question, I started doing my own research on the question of the impact on quality of patient care and workforce quality when skilled nursing homes and elder care facilities are privatized for the profit of facility owners. And guess what? The consensus in these articles seems to be that patient care and workforce quality and quantity tend to deteriorate after privatization happens. Well, if one thing Portage County and northern Wisconsin don't need, it's more workforce shortage. Believe me, every county association meeting, they talk about the workforce shortage, caregiver shortage, okay? So we don't need that. Secondly, how are we going to pay for it? Okay, people have probably heard me say this on the county board floor, but I'll say it again. The Wisconsin legislature should find the money to help our county-owned nursing homes all county nursing homes. It's not fair to put the whole funding burden on the property tax levy paid by working-class citizens. So those are my positions. We got to get after the legislature for more money. Find the money. It's out there. You just have to have the will to do it.
Thank you. Joan Honall.
I'd like to second just about everything that Mr. Gifford had to say. I think that instead of all of our efforts going in to try to sell this home, they should be going into putting some pressure on state legislators to send some of our money back. The Medicare, the Medicaid rates are not nearly enough. There has to be a subsidy. We're getting old. We're getting frail, and medical care is expensive. There's no getting around it. And I did some research myself, and the falling rate and the rate of deaths increases notably after privatization of nursing homes. That is a nationwide study, nationwide statistic. I am not in favor of privatization. We have to find some more creative ways, perhaps, to take a look at the nursing home. Why not add a fourth pod and make it a child care center and attract staff who want to come and work and bring their kids to work, and we won't have so much of a staffing issue. How about some low-income housing, some affordable housing around our health care center? Isn't there something more creative that we can do besides just turn it over to some stockholders to make decisions about our frail elderly? That's my opinion.
Thank you. Pat Keller.
Thank you. Very emotional subject. Decisions shouldn't be based on emotion, so please let us take some time. I don't support selling the healthcare center to the first buyer that comes along. I do, however, support looking into the option. This is a 100-bed facility that we had 80 licenses for, and we just cut that to 40. The licenses are expensive, and guess what? We couldn't staff it to take care of those people. We privatized out or sent it out for bid for the cleaning services, and then it was the laundry, and then it was the dining services. We couldn't hire a nurse. Gentleman complains every time we see him that he has to drive up to Clark County to see the person he's charged to care for. I hate to say this, but if we build a new one, it's very likely he's going to have to keep making that trip because we don't have the staff to take care of that particular person, right? So please, let us find the right answer. We need to be able to take care of the highest number of people we can, the most number of Portage County residents that we can, and we have to be able to give the best quality care that we can. Given that, does it really matter who owns it? Thank you.
Okay, Chris Randazzo.
This one's a no-brainer. I'm thrilled to be in a community that supported the Portage County Healthcare Center. When I worked as a reporter for 5 years, I became pretty cynical and thought that anything that said, will you raise my taxes, people stopped listening at why. They don't care. Don't lower the, I don't want to pay. The school district referendum sadly often fell that way. This is amazing. We had 68% of the community say, you know what, I do care. And my opponent here just said, we can't make emotional decisions. Yes, we can. We can sometimes be emotional. We can say what matters to us. We can be proud. We can take care of the people in our community. I'm lucky. I've got really good health insurance. My wife was a teacher for 27 years, and now she works at the university. And my experience in private health care is kind of a nightmare. So I just can't imagine what it's like being someone without the resources I have dealing with that health care center. I'm thrilled to support it. It's all about priorities. Our priority should be taking care of our neighbors to the best we can. The best way we're going to do that is through county funding. If we have to go to referendum again, I'd be happy to do that. I'd like to see the community support it again, and I think they will. Thank you.
Okay, and Andrew Rockman.
My position on this is not unique, but perhaps the way I came about it is, must be about 7, 8 years now, maybe a bit more. I was contracted to correct the food service at the convent on the north end of town. They were running a 60% food cost, and I don't want to bore you with the numbers or whatnot, but they had a goal because a private company had come in to rein in all the operational costs of that facility, and at the time, residents were dwindling, or rather residential numbers were dwindling. They had trouble with staffing. Yeah, they did all these things. They ran through this problem, and I saw what this company did. They tried at first, and I gave them a plan. It took me 3 months. And I got their food cost to where it was supposed to be per meal, which was $2.15. It was fun math. And turned it over to them. And 3 weeks, if not maybe just over a month later, they threw out my plan because corporate had come down and said, now the food cost needs to be $1.75 per meal. And they asked for me to come back and fix it again. I said, you can't do that. And so they ended up buying. This is not important to the story. What's important to the story is that privatization is not a bad thing all the way around, but there are certain aspects of society that should probably not be privatized. I think Bill Maher probably said it best. I want Ebenezer Scrooge looking after my money, but I don't want him running the schools. And likewise, I don't want him running the hospitals either. If you privatize something, the bottom line will always be the Bible for that.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Karen. An offer to purchase land for a new Portage County jail has been made. In planning for a jail for the future, what are the physical design and inmate program services that you think are important in making decisions about the building and staffing? Please be specific.
I don't know if she wants to turn.
There you go.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing the name of who's supposed to be speaking. I apologize.
I'm sorry, you. You start this round.
All right, that's why it was so quiet. All right, so could the office to purchase the land, and could you repeat the question then, please?
Yes. An offer to purchase land for a new Portage County jail has been made. In planning for a jail for the future, what are the physical design and inmate program services that you think are important in making decisions about the building and staffing? Please be specific.
All right, with this, through my research and learning more about this, there are resources that have maybe not been utilized in developing the master for our jail, new jail. And those include contacting or being involved with the Department of Corrections and the National Institute of Corrections and the resources that they have and to guide this. So I personally do not know the details of what should be all included in on that, but that we are not accessing the resources that can help us make those decisions wisely, and to know what are the types of programming that is helpful in a jail situation versus, let's say, prison type of thing. So you have often smaller windows of time that you're dealing or helping with these, working with these people. And so it's a different environment. And I feel like, again, we're not using the resources that could help us both be more effective and save money, because we're building it to really serve our public and for safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Splitter.
Repeat the question one more time, I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's another long one.
It's a long one.
An offer to purchase land for a new Portage County jail has been made. In planning for a jail for the future, what are the physical design and inmate program services that you think are important in making decisions about the building and staffing?
I totally agree with the 42 acres that we've looked at just north of the highway department down in Plover. It'll provide probably 10 acres for the jail, and the jail can be a pod system where you can have 2 pods of 100 each, all coming in to a center administration area. And actually in the future, 100 years from now, you might need another pod And we have plenty of room there for a jail and future building needs for the county. Part of our job as supervisors is to be futurist. We have to look what's good for the county in the next 50 years, what's good for the county in 100 years. This is a good long-term acquisition for the county. And having the jail with a pod system, bringing back 30 people that we ship out to Wapaka. When they go to Wapaka, they get absolutely no programming, none. They don't get psychological program, they don't get GED, they don't get anything. So bringing these people back in to our county, close to their relatives that they can visit, and having access to GED is a big thing for youth offenders. Having psychological counseling for drug addicts is essential so that they don't repeat, getting them into programs and other programs that would be beneficial. Thank you. I'm sorry, I never see him do that.
You don't either. You gotta wave it at us apparently.
Yeah, wave the red.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity. On the jail, you know, for years now, I've been listening to Sheriff Lucas on the needs for a new jail rehabilitation center. There are now, according to Department of Justice, National Institute of Corrections, big stack of paper that Janelle Ware has given me to look at. There are 18 classifications now for inmates. And they all have different needs. They have needs for space to cater to those needs, okay? However, the Department of Justice also stresses in their big packet of documents the importance of keeping jail and courts connected. And that is to say, securely connected. They need to be attached with secure passage from one to the other. And as our local judges will tell you, there needs to be secure court proceedings, so there's no risk to any staff or inmates. So I think I am definitely against this idea of moving the jail out to 6 miles away from the court. And I think we can work this through, but we're going to have to change our mindset about this pretty fundamentally. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Honnell.
Well, this may sound like a parrot, but I agree with just about everything Supervisor Gittens had to say. Coming from a rehabilitation background, I don't like the idea of people, vulnerable people, being put out someplace that's inaccessible. And the services that we're talking about, the tutoring, the visitation, et cetera, that's putting people out at the edge of the county, pulls them out of that network of services that are so vital. And that's where we need to step back and agree on a mission statement for what is it we're trying to accomplish. Yes, there's a deterrence. There are people who need to be in jail. There are a lot of people who can benefit from rehabilitation and coming back to the community as a productive citizen. It makes the most sense to me to bring it back downtown or to keep our city center so that it's connected. You know, one of my constituents said, I said, well, you know, the county executive is making a case about there's no homes in the area, so it would be a lot safer. And she asked him, when was the last time we had a jailbreak? And I did not know what to answer. I have not heard an uproar from that community that the jail has been a problem for them.
Thank you. Pat Keller.
Mr. Keller.
Thank you. Another emotional one. This one's been going on for years and years and years. Keep looking for the right answer. A little while ago, we were talking about moving the entire law center, jail, courthouse, everything to a little further out towards the perimeter of the area. Some people liked that, some people didn't. We didn't have enough that we could get a majority to fund it, so it didn't happen. So now we got to figure out what to do next. So it's a crowded area downtown, and jails are awful pretty, aren't they? Really nice. Perfect for the downtown area. So I don't care. What I care about is the fact that inmates are not being taken care of. They're being carted to Wapaka, and while they're there, they sit in a cell. They do get no rehabilitative services whatsoever, no educational services whatsoever. They don't go out for those services come to them. So it doesn't matter if it's on the perimeter. The jail is across the street from the courthouse today, and they drive them from the courthouse, from the jail to the courthouse. So, and the state is updating its recommendations as well. So things change. We have opportunity for a good piece of land. It's a great place, easy access, safe, and near other county buildings. And the people offering it for sale are offering it at a very fair price because they want to give back to the community.
Okay, thank you. Chris Randazzo.
I'm just going to straight out say right away that question is over my head. That's why, shockingly to me, I learned a while back that we've never worked with the National Institute of Corrections on this problem. They have a community planning guide and ABCs on what you need to do to plan a jail. And despite the fact that we've talked about this for, I don't know if it's 10, 20 years and been unable to come up with a plan, we've never gone to the experts. Here I am, often not speechless or without words on how that makes sense. That's what we've got to do. We do have a problem that needs to be addressed. The jail is awful, no one's arguing about that, but answering a short-term problem while ignoring the long-term impacts is never going to be the answer. As a reporter, I always hated the constant quest for information because it's very hard to make these difficult decisions, to be the one who it's on. But this is a time where that's important. We do have to go back to the drawing board. We do have to bring in the experts. I would love to see it stay downtown. I'd love to see these facilities connected. Most of the research I've looked at so far suggests that that's the case, but maybe it's not. But I'm not the expert to decide that. We need to bring those experts in, listen to them, involve the community in the mission statement of that jail, and then move forward. We're not talking about a 5-year answer here. This is a community answer. We owe it to the community now and in the future to do the right thing.
Thank you. Andrew Rockman.
I don't have much to add on this. I'm in very much agreement with you, sir. I believe that we should have been talking to the NIC a long time ago about this problem. This problem well predates my time here, but I will say a few things. One, Joan, to answer your question, the last jailbreak was in 1937, and he was shot dead in front of the cemetery on Water Street, but I believe it was a different time back then.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As to the designs and what are required, again, this is a question for people who do this for a living. I've heard pod system, it's going to make everything more efficient. Pod system, it's going to make everything more efficient, less staffing. Well, that may be true, but has anybody bothered to tell the board that there are two different versions of the pod system, one of which is a direct supervision model and one is not, one of which does imply a bit more staff efficiency but requires highly specific training to operate in, and one does not. So until I get a plan, an idea from county leadership, who lately seems to me they'd rather be real estate agents than public servants, I'm not going to offer my vote. At the same time, it's kind of disheartening because one of the very first things I did when I got elected was tour the jail. We absolutely need a jail. We absolutely need to fix that and bring our inmates back from Wapaka, because we're paying double on them. We're heightening our recidivism rate in Portage County by not giving them the treatment and services we offer in Portage County to the people of Portage County. It just doesn't, none of it makes sense to me.
Okay, thank you. And Mary Rozecki.
And I'll be the one to wrap it up. Here we go. We need experts to help us decide what we need to do. I agree with Mike, I agree with Andrew. As far as I know, the programs that are available are helping our inmates get a GED, drug and alcohol treatment, and helping them search for a job, giving them the skills to be employed. Very important. I would never take any of that away. Yes, I think we need a new justice center. From what I've heard from the people I've talked to, we've needed it for 20 years. Our county has spent over $500,000 funding architects and experts to tell us, please review this, tell us if it's needed. It's needed. I say let's make a decision, let's get it done, and look, like Mike said, long-term, so that we make sure what we're doing today takes care of our county in the future. And with what Andrew said, with sending inmates to Wapaka, that costs us money. We can do better than that. Let's get a justice center that serves our county and the people in it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a lot more questions, but we don't have a lot more time. That's the problem. So it's time for the closing statement, which is an opportunity for candidates to comment on topics not covered in the questions. And again, the order will be by drawing. And we'll start with Joan.
Thank you. I'd like to envision a Stevens Point, Portage County area with increased diversity that welcomes a lot of different kinds of people from different cultures so that we can enjoy the arts, the music, the food, all the wonderful things that go with having a diverse community. I'd like to see a community that is supporting those people who have the greatest needs. People who have no homes, people who have family issues, people who are coming out of foster care at age 18 with no place to go. I'd like us to start talking about climate change. I didn't hear anything in any of the building plans about sustainability. I think that it's time for us to put that out front and center when we start talking about building plans. In fact, we're probably already a little late in doing so. I'd like to be elected again. I would like to represent the voters in my district, and I'll do the very best I can. I'll do my homework. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Randazzo.
Again, my name is Chris Randazzo, and I'm running for Portage County Supervisor, District 14. I'm a keep it simple kind of guy, so I'm going to do that here. I'm running for County Supervisor because we need to change the leadership at the county level, and I'm willing to be a part of that change. If elected, I promise to work with the experts and stakeholders to get the best data possible, sorry I'm speeding up, on the important and complex issues facing Portage County. I'll use that data to find solutions that serve the community while remaining fiscally responsible. I'd also like to thank you all for coming and thank the League of Women Voters for running this event.
Okay, thank you. Bob Gifford.
That way, Bob.
A minute and a half?
Minute and a half.
All right, thanks.
Time's up.
Thank you. Well, I want to address people here as citizens, whether you're on the board or not. As citizens, I would like to see a much closer relationship between citizens and elected officials in our local government, in our state government, and of course in our federal government. Don't hope too much for that, but I think people should do your own research. That's what I do. Okay, I'm just a working class guy, but I know how to use scholar.google.com. Look for things that are peer reviewed. Review a whole lot of things, read a lot, and inform yourself, and you'll come to these meetings as well informed, or maybe better, than the folks who purport to represent you. And in kind of follow up on what Joan said, I too agree that we need to become a welcoming community that does embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, not because those are liberal buzzwords or a cool new trend, but because it's how you're going to attract the young workforce of the future. They're going to be looking for a community that's open, welcome, and makes them feel at home. So those are some ideas that I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Karen, you're up for your closing statement.
I'm good.
Must be hard for her.
Karen, did you hear me? Your time to do your closing statement.
I'm sorry.
Your
Sorry, I'm having sound issues, and things are very choppy, and I apologize. In a closing statement, I'm running be a new voice for the residents of District 12, and I've been concerned about the way our county has been acting or running, not open, not transparent, not accountable, and I would like to be a new voice for this district. I also encourage all of you who are evaluating the different candidates to perhaps even look at voting herds. Because sometimes things can be said, but actions that how folks have acted are really something really important to be watching for. I want to serve our county, my county, and again, my district. I want us all to have access to programs that are facilities will serve and protect people and allow all people of our community to have their rights respected. Again, there's different things that I feel that are not happening, and I really would like to see a better vision and work hard for this, the county, and really am hoping for the vote for District 12 residents on April 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, Rizek.
Thank you. Just one comment. There are over 45 facilities in Portage County to take care of those that need assistance. So just to finish my thought on the county home. I'm not against the county home. We've had family members who are cared for and died there. The current county board supervisor for District 10 is an 8-year incumbent. While I've been knocking on doors, few people could identify him, much less comment on his accomplishments. District 10 needs new representation to ensure we have a voice in the decisions made in our county. The dollar does not stretch like it used to, and we need political leaders that know this too. I will be open-minded and communicate with the people in District 10. I will encourage them to reach out to me with their questions, and I will work with them to get answers. I ask them to stay involved and speak up when they can. While employed at Century, I worked in management for 11 years, insurance claims and sales, national and state compliance of the law, reading contracts and writing policies, hiring, firing employees, and managing projects, salaries, and budgets. While working with my husband in his small business in land surveying, I was the secretary, bookkeeper, and as well as the person holding the prison pole, so I was out in the field. Together, we managed a successful business. I'm also a mom of 3, a job that's equal parts rewarding and challenging. Anyone with children can attest to the juggling act moms do to keep everyone plus the house on schedule. All this experience combined has led me to be a good listener, understand the importance of time and budget management, prioritization of completing projects and ideas. I use the facts and common sense to make
Thank
decisions. And I'll do what's best for District 10 and the people that live in Portage County. Thank you so much to everyone who volunteered and the League of Women Voters.
Okay, Pat Keller.
This time I can give it to you.
We're gonna knock each other out with that thing.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming. And
Thanks.
Thanks to
You
the
too.
league. It's been an honor to serve for the last 2 years. I feel I've done a good job. I've worked very hard. I learned everything I can on every issue, and I stay open on every issue until it's time to vote. Nobody tells me how to vote. Nobody talks to me and tries to get me to vote a certain way. All right, I make my own decisions. I love the county home. I've been volunteering there for over 12 years. I volunteer at the Veterans Home. I've been a hospice volunteer. So I'm not a heartless guy. I just try to look at everything straight ahead. And sometimes I play devil's advocate. So I ask a lot of questions, and if I am not using a microphone, I sound a little crabby. But it's important to me, and the community is important to me. When I think about what other people ahead of us have done and sacrificed to give us what we have, I think it's our job, every one of us, to do everything we can, anytime we have a moment, an hour, a day, to do something to give back. This is a great place to live. We always have room for improvement, but we don't have to lose our identities to become better. We all agree on an awful lot. We should focus more on what we agree on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll have Michael Splinter and then Andrew Rockman.
Oh, this is easy.
I wish I had a longer speech for the close, but I want to thank the league for providing a nonpartisan forum for people, and all the people that came out here. I wish we get this amount of people at all our committee meetings and get people invested in the county. Don't be afraid to speak up. You know, you get your 3 minutes at the county board or 3 minutes at a committee meeting, and that means a lot. I go into every committee meeting with every issue, and I always listen to what comes out of the crowd, and it's very important that you exercise your right to do that. I am running, and have always run, as a nonpartisan candidate. I listen to all sides. I'm considered a moderate on the county board floor. I go this way or that way, depending on how it goes, and I try to think, as I'm doing right now, I'm trying to think on my feet as I go, depending on the circumstance. And I've got 30 seconds. I wish, my only regret lately is that our local politics, our local county board politics, our races have been, a local party has tried to inject themselves into that process and favor one candidate or another. I don't believe that's where we should go. I think it's always should be nonpartisan.
Thank you. And Andrew Rockman.
I get to close it out like I opened it up. All right.
Okay, yep.
I'm all for that. Again, my name is Andrew Rockman. I'm running in District 9, so if any of you here live in my district, I would like your vote. But even if you're not going to vote for me, do vote. It matters. The work that the League of Women Voters provides is invaluable in that aspect. As a lifelong service worker, I can tell you it's my personal truth that there are few purposes higher than being of service to others. And when I got a call 2 years ago by, I still don't know who actually called me, said, would you be willing to run in your district? And I'm like, yeah, I got nothing going on Tuesday. And it's been a really wild ride. I'm excited to do it more. I'm excited to learn more and to help more. I guess I opened with Jefferson, I can close with Kipling. There is nothing more dangerous than a man who believes he is right. And I think that's important for everybody to remember. There are a lot of tough issues, there are a lot of things that we need to talk about, and if somebody has already decided that they're right about something, there's no point engaging in a conversation or even better, a compromise with them because they already have their beliefs set. I think ideas are better for governance than beliefs. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, thank you to the candidates for the time and energy they have invested in running for the Portage County Board and also for participating tonight in this forum. Please feel free to stay to talk with constituents in the lobby as we have another forum following this one. Be sure to stop at the candidates table if you're interested in their literature. On the April 2nd ballot, Portage County voters will also be voting for several other offices, including Presidential Preference Primary, the Stevens Point Area School District Board, the Stevens Point City Council Alders, the Stevens Point Plover Joint Municipal Judge, and the Stevens Point Area School District Referendum. Also on the ballot are two statewide ballot measures. One prohibits any level of government in the state from applying or accepting non-governmental funds for equipment for election administration. The other provides that only election officials designated by law may administer elections. The League of Women Voters of Wisconsin has a candidate guide which may be found at vote411.org, and also myvote.wi.gov also provides information about the April 2nd elections and the voting process. This concludes the forum for the County Board Supervisors, Districts 8, 9, 10, 12, and 14. Thank you, candidates and audience, for your participation and attention. We also wish to thank Seth Hendricks and John Quirk of the City of Stevens Point, who taped the forum and will replay the forums on the city site on stevenspoint.com/YouTube and the local access channel. Along with tonight's 3 district supervisors forums, the Stevens Point Area School District School Board Candidate Forum and the Stevens Point City Alders Forum will be on the YouTube site and local access channel as well. In fact, I know those 2 are already on the YouTube site. These broadcasts are an appreciated service to area residents. So thank you, League members, the UWSP Student Government Association, members of the Portage County Business Council, and the SPASH Student Senate, who volunteered in various roles this evening to make the forum possible. We couldn't do it without all of them. And we also thank the staff of the Lincoln Center for their assistance and for the use of this meeting room. The League believes that when you vote, you are participating in one of the most basic and important responsibilities you have as a citizen. When you vote, you are empowering your political voice. Please remember to vote on April 2nd. Your vote does count. And now let us show our appreciation to the candidates.
Thank you.